In this section, we're going to talk about the premium per user license type in Power BI Service. This license type allows organizations to license premium features on a per user basis instead of requiring them to purchase a premium capacity. So in this section, we're going to cover two main topics: premium per user workspaces and premium per user features. But before we dig into these topics, let's take a look at some of the key benefits of the premium per user license type. First off, this really fills the gap between the Power BI Pro license and the premium capacity license. And based on the current pricing, the premium capacity licenses were out of reach for many small and mid-sized organizations. So this license type really closes that gap and should make these premium features a lot more accessible to smaller organizations. Second, because of the additional features that come with the premium per user license, it's useful for businesses that have demanding analytical requirements but don't have the enterprise size. And third, because of additional features like deployment pipelines, advanced data flows, and other AI capabilities, this license type is really made for people who are both consumers and builders. In order to set up a premium per user workspace, you need to add that workspace to a premium capacity. And you can add it to a premium capacity either during its initial creation by heading to the advanced options, or you could do it to a workspace after it's already been created. So once you do this, how can you tell if a workspace has actually been added to a premium capacity? Well, as part of this license type, a new icon has been added that indicates that a workspace is part of a premium per user workspace. So you can see here that we've got examples of a workspace that has been created with a Pro license versus a premium per user workspace. The premium per user workspace has that new diamond symbol with a person in the lower right-hand corner. When you're looking at your list of workspaces, you'll now be able to clearly tell which ones are accessible via Pro licenses and which ones are accessible via a premium per user license. One important thing to keep in mind here is that any datasets or data flows or any other content that is created with a premium per user workspace, this content can only be accessed and consumed by other users that have a premium per user license. That's the only way that this content can be accessed. All right, let's head on over to Service and we'll create our own premium per user workspace. All right, so in Service here, what we can do is we can click on our workspaces, and then down at the bottom here, click Create a new workspace. And let's name this Premium per User Test. We've got our workspace named. And now if we scroll down here to our advanced options, you can see that we have a premium capacity toggle here. And when that's enabled, we are saying that we want to assign this workspace as a premium workspace, right? And what Power BI is letting us know is that we're using this premium per user capacity here. It's a reserved capacity. It's located in East US 2. And this may change based on where you're located throughout the world. And the default storage format is set to small data set. And this is the default standard for Power BI Service. You do have the option to change this to a large dataset storage format. You would choose this option if your datasets were going to go beyond the default limit that is configured for Power BI Service. So we'll make sure that this is set to small for our purposes here and click Save. So now we've just created a premium per user workspace, right? You can see that we have this new updated icon next to our workspace name. And then we also have it here within our workspace list. So when we open up all of our workspaces, we can see that we have our management team and Maven inspectional services workspaces that are not premium per user. And we have this premium per user one that we just set up. So if we head to the settings menu, it should look pretty familiar here, but we now have this premium tab where we can either turn this off or back on again, and you can adjust those same settings that we were able to do on workspace creation. So we'll save this. And this is how you would actually go through and update an existing workspace to premium. So let's take a look at our management team workspace. Head over to Premium. We'll turn the premium capacity on. And now we get those same options for our premium workspace. Click Save. We get a notification here that says, hey, you're changing workspace access, right? You're updating from a pro workspace to a premium per user. And if there's anybody that has access to this workspace currently and they only have a pro license, they're going to lose access. They won't be able to view this content anymore. So make sure that, either you're upgrading those users' licenses or that they know that they're no longer going to have access. So just a good management tip here. So click Continue. And now you see that we have 2 of our workspaces as our premium per user workspace types. All right, so creating these premium per user workspaces are really straightforward. Additionally, it's also easy to upgrade an existing pro to a premium per user workspace. So with that, let's head into the next lecture where we're going to talk a little bit more about the specific features within a premium per user workspace. All right, let's take a few minutes and talk about some of the similarities and differences between a premium per user license and a premium capacity. While premium per user offers many of the same features that a premium capacity does, there are some notable differences when upgrading from a pro license type like paginated reports, AI capabilities, and deployment pipelines. So before we take a look at a feature comparison between premium per user and premium capacity, it's important to understand a couple of things. First, if you have a premium per user license, you do not need a pro license as well. Because of this premium per user license type, you'll have access to all of the pro features and pro workspaces, plus all of the features of the premium per user license, right? So you get the best of both worlds there. And second, organizations that already have a premium capacity in place, they can supplement with premium per user licenses, but they're not required to build content within a premium capacity. So a user with a pro license can still build and deploy and share content within a premium capacity. So digging into some of the comparisons here, as we can see, there are quite a few similarities between the per user and per capacity licenses. Things like the tenant storage and the model limit size refresh rates both allow for paginated reports, AI capabilities, advanced data flows, deployment pipelines, enhanced automatic page refreshes. So there's a lot of similarities between these two. What's interesting is some of the notable differences with features like multi-geo support, unlimited distribution, support for on-premises report server, and bring your own key, which this is a feature that's part of the Azure Active Directory B2B program. And this is only available for premium capacities. Those are some interesting differences between the two of them. Let's keep rolling along here. And I'd like to talk a little bit about 4 of the features that you'll now have access to with a premium per user license. And these features are machine learning models for data flows, Power BI report builder, deployment pipelines, and incremental refresh for data flows. So first up, let's talk about machine learning models for data flows. And these are here to help you build machine learning models straight from your data flows. And one of the cool things here is that Power BI automates much of this work behind the scenes, and it allows you to train and validate and pick the type of model that you'd like to use. And at the time of this recording, you can choose from different model types like binary prediction, classification, or regression models. So once this is all configured, Power BI will select the most appropriate algorithm and then extract the most relevant features from the data flow. So pretty cool stuff there. Up next, we have our Power BI report builder, and this is a tool for authoring paginated reports. And with this feature, you can create paginated report definitions in the Power BI report builder and then publish them to service. Up next, we have deployment pipelines. And deployment pipelines are aimed at giving you, the Power BI developer, more control over the management of your content, right? It's really focused at lifecycle development here. So basically what deployment pipelines do is they provide you with a set of tools that allow you to develop and test and then put into production new and updated content. And finally, we have incremental refresh for data flows. And this is aimed at decreasing the amount of time that it takes for a data flow to run. Incremental refresh works based off of a date column in a table, and it's set up by adjusting a couple of parameters, the number of rows to store and the number of rows to refresh. So the way that I like to think about this is as the number of rows that I want to load only once, and the number of rows that I want to reload each time. And for incremental refresh, we have a couple of popular scenarios here. So the first one is when you would have something like macro data, similar to population data that spans many years and contains billions of records over those years for all of the people that are within that population. Additionally, you could have something that's a little bit more micro-focused, like collecting data from sensors. Again, you're going to generate a large data set here over a shorter time duration because you're collecting data at a much more frequent or granular level. Okay, so let's actually jump into service and we'll quickly check out where these new options live. And first up, let's start with paginated reports. You can select these as a new content type. We would have to actually build something and then import that into Power BI Service for this to work. The download for Power BI Report Builder is free, so you can do that at any time. Up next, deployment pipelines. And you see we've got this cool new rocket ship icon. We can either create a pipeline from here, or you can create a pipeline directly from your left-hand navigation pane. So from here, this kind of tells you the steps that you're going to be creating. First, you create the pipeline, assign it to a workspace, develop and test, and then put into production, so you're sharing it with your users. Up next, we've got machine learning models for data flows. So let's jump into our inspection data flow. And up top here, we've got the machine learning models. Right, so now, instead of this being grayed out, we can actually get started and can choose the entity that we want to first start deploying this model on. So some pretty cool stuff there. And if we jump back to entities, and the last piece here would be incremental refresh. So let's check out incremental refresh for our restaurant inspection data. You can see we've got our activity date column here, right? We need our date column. So if we click on incremental refresh settings, toggle this to on, we select our date field, and let's say we want to store 5 years of data from the past. But we want to refresh the past 14 days. So that's all we would have to do to set up incremental refresh. We click save, and now the next time that this data flow runs or updates, that incremental refresh policy would be put into place, and going forward it would only refresh the last 14 days worth of data. The great thing is if you made changes that went back a little bit further, just go back in, turn the policy back off, and you're good to go. And with that, that wraps up this lecture on some of the premium per user features that will be available with this license type.